This week, we talk about a lot of new Avengers Doomsday news that has recently come to light. We talk about how old James Gunn's new DC universe actually is when we finally see things happening in the new Superman movie. We're going to be using the Schwartz again with an actual sequel to Spaceballs and a whole lot more. Welcome to the Infinite Taylorverse. Warning.
Red alert.
Ay, 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 ay!
Danger, Will Robinson. Danger!
That's the emergency alert. This episode is full of spoilers for some of the latest and greatest nerdy movies and shows.
Spoilers.
Listener discretion is advised. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Infinite Taylorverse podcast. I'm Billy Taylor.
And I'm Taylor Oxner.
And this week we're back to talk about all the fun stuff happening out there in the pop culture universe. But before we jump into that, Taylor, what have you been nerding out about this week, man?
Oh, this week there's this game Bolt Gun I've been playing. It's like a 40K game.
Uh-huh.
For people who don't know, that's Warhammer. And it's like Doom, like the original Doom, like it's like a 2D
Oh, gotcha.
first person shooter with like hordes of demons and heretics coming at you that you have to eliminate. And space marines, and that world's really interesting. Have you ever read up on any of it or anything?
I haven't.
It's really brutal.
Yeah.
It's like really, really brutal. Think like Gears of War style gore, but with like kind of a Dungeons and Dragons meets cyberpunk. It's really hard to like, a lot of it looks like heavy metal. You know, like what I'm talking about, like
Uh-huh.
heavy metal
Yeah.
magazine, like where it's like and kind of Star Warsy, where it's like futuristic, but at the same time looks old.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of has that kind of vibe to it. But yeah, the lore is insane, like absolutely bonkers. And like everything written in it, people have written about it, is considered canon because a lot of the lore itself is hearsay.
Yeah.
In continuity, it's hearsay. There's a lot of fictional stuff that people in continuity believe and things like that, but it's kind of hard to explain unless you like read into it. But yeah, it's fascinating. Anyway, they made a Doom game and you run around and it's quite satisfying. But like I had played like, I don't know, it was like 5 levels in and I'm like, okay, this is probably the end of it. It was like a free game. And then I beat this giant nasty boss thing and it was like chapter 1. And I was like, what? So I'm now on chapter 2 of this game. And it's insane.
That's awesome. We'll see. Well, I'm nerding out about this past weekend was Father's Day. So happy Father's Day to all you dads out there. And my gift from my family was I was given a ticket to go to this thing that happened in Kansas City where you got to watch the movie The Sandlot with some of the cast from The Sandlot and then ask them some questions after and meet them and take a picture and get an autograph and all that stuff. And it was only 3 of the original boys. It was the actor named Tom Geary, who was Smalls, and the actor named Chauncey Leopardi, who was Squints, and Marty York, who was Yeah. So it was Smalls, Squints, and Yeah. And yeah, they were really cool. It was kind of cool. The MC came out and was like, all right, guys, normally when you're at the theater, you need to be quiet. You don't need to be laughing loud and quoting movies loudly and singing along with songs loudly. He's like, but this is not that. You are encouraged to raise your voices and laugh extremely loud and quote the quotes and have a good time. He's like, the cast loves that and blah, 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 blah. But it was just a really cool experience. And then afterwards, they had this Q&A and someone asked them, are you guys still pretty good at baseball or whatever? And the MC guy was like, funny you should ask that. And he pulls out this bag with maybe 10 or so baseballs and all the baseballs are signed by the guys and he hands them each a few balls and they start throwing them in the crowd. And I kind of stood up and raised my hand and the Squints guy looked right at me and pointed at me and threw it at me and I caught it. So I have this signed baseball from those guys. So that was kind of cool.
And you caught it, which
And I
is
caught it.
really
Yeah.
cool.
That would have been embarrassing.
Yeah, I feel like I would have not caught it and been embarrassing.
Oh, in the back of my mind, I was thinking, just like the Smalls kid at the beginning of the movie, I'm like, I'm not going to catch this.
You were like, don't be a goofus, don't be a
Don't be a goofus.
goofus.
Don't be a goofus. And then I caught it. And goofus
Yeah.
averted. But yeah, it
Well,
was
that's
really fun.
amazing. That's amazing. That's so cool that your family did that. That's amazing.
They're doing a tour. I think the group is called Hollywood on Broadway, and they're doing a tour across the country. And they just happen to be in Kansas City this particular weekend, and I think they're in Oklahoma next weekend. And it's all over the place. And it's not just Sandlot. Some weekends it's Princess Bride, and some weekends it's Goonies. But this particular weekend in Kansas City was Sandlot.
That's cool.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And the way they do it, it sounds like whoever can come comes, and like this weekend those were the three guys that could come. And other weekends it might be a different few guys. I don't think they've managed to have all nine of them at the same place because I think a couple of them just kind of avoid, the limelight type stuff these days, it sounds like. But it would have been cool to meet Ham. That was my favorite character when I was a kid.
Yeah. I see him more often than I see all the rest of those people.
Oh yeah, he's a big social media guy. He's all over TikTok and Instagram and stuff, and he's got real funny videos. And I see him collaborate with other celebrities and other famous social media people sometimes. He's pretty
I've
funny.
even seen him on like an episode of Castle or like Law and Order. Like he does like bit parts too.
Oh, probably.
Still.
Yeah. Yeah, that was kind of fun. And it's funny, maybe around Christmas break. So that would have been what, at this point, 5 or 6 months ago. We watched The Sandlot with our kids for the first time, and they loved it. And the kids, there's those like hokey D-list sequels that came out. And so they made us watch all of those too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of fun and added another little autograph to my collection. And catching the ball was really cool. I didn't expect that at all.
It's awesome.
I got on Amazon and bought one of those little $6 or $7 baseball display cases that you can kind of protect it with. I'll put it up there
You
with my
should
pops or something.
you should have gotten the a replica of the one that's from the show, the movie.
They had a merch table and they had these handmade replicas of those balls that looked, all worn out and stuff. And they were pretty expensive. I'm thinking they were like $85 or something like that.
Oh wow.
But yeah, yeah, that was fun. And yeah, I'm usually when I think of movies, I'm more the superhero sci-fi guy, but that movie is one of my all-time favorites, even though it has nothing to do with my typical favorite genres.
Hmm.
Well, hey, let's go ahead and jump into some news. We will start with some Marvel this week. So we've talked about on again, off again, on again, off again with things like Blade and Ghost Rider and Midnight Suns. And the last time we talked about those topics, it sounded like some of those projects were off the table. They were kind of being pushed back and delayed. Well, an official announcement came out a couple days ago that Midnight Suns is officially out of being on hold and officially being in development. And one of the bits of information that came along with that was a lot of people think of Blade as the leader of that group, but it sounds like Ghost Rider is going to be the leader of the MCU Midnight Suns.
All right.
Yeah, so we'll see what that means.
I mean I kind of always considered Doctor Strange the leader of that group, but okay.
Yeah. Marvel Studios, we know they've got a lot going on right now with these Avengers movies coming up and the X-Men being rebooted. It sounds like they've officially started the development of all the X-Men stuff, and they've been meeting with the actors for the different X-Men roles. So this article I read made it sound like the actors are in place, we just don't know who they are yet.
Of all the replacement ones.
Yeah, the replacements.
That's so crazy to think that they're all already picked out and we just don't know. The fact that we don't know is crazy.
I know.
But if we look back and try to like point out all the names, I bet we could come up with at least a couple of them.
Oh yeah.
Like all the people who have been in talks.
Yep.
Did I hear something about Denzel Washington or someone like that getting a role?
At one point, people were saying Denzel Washington and Giancarlo Esposito as Professor X and Magneto. Lately, they've been saying other names as well, but at one point, those were the guys they were saying for those two roles.
Can you imagine the
Ah,
weight of those scenes?
I know. It would put a different twist on the backgrounds, but still, that whole, oppressive thing could still be there. It would just be very different.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about Denzel in a threatening manner, like Magneto's kind of terrifying.
Right. Let's see. They've also been talking a lot about some of the details of these movies that we do know about. Like we know Avengers Doomsday is coming. It sounds like one of the plot points of that whole movie is going to be Thor finds out that Loki, or at least a Loki, is still out there. Like his brother's not dead like he thought from the previous Avengers movies. And so he's going to be kind of searching for him. But the search is because Doctor Doom is searching for him because of, what he holds in in the multiverse, and Thor needs to get to him first before Doctor Doom does. So anyway, this was just kind of a speculative plot point, not necessarily the main point, but that'd be kind of cool if this is where we see Thor and Loki reunited and get to see the extent of what Loki's been up to since we last saw him in season 2 of Loki.
Yeah. Do you think Thor will meet Loki as like where he is now?
Oh, that's a good point. It could be anywhere in the timeline.
With him like holding everything, like, because I don't think Thor knows where Loki's been since the Loki show at
Right.
all.
Because I think as far as
So
Thor knows, he died in that Avengers movie, right? And he doesn't know that we've been following this variant version of his brother, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Because the Loki we followed in the series, he was the one being about to be imprisoned in the first Avengers movie, and then he was pulled out of the timeline
uh-huh.
from his reality. But
Hmm.
yeah, I think it'll be cool to see their reunion because this obviously this version of Loki has been through some things and he's matured a lot.
Yeah, but he's also this like weird now integral part of like the fabric of the universe, basically.
Yeah,
So that might be like a completely different sort of relationship.
that's true.
We don't even know if like Loki even talks the same.
Right.
He could be all like Uatu talk now
Yeah.
because of the amount of power that he has. It's just not, you know.
Yeah. Another thing I read is that in this Avengers Doomsday movie, we're going to see Nightcrawler finally wield his signature swords in the movie. So I think that's cool too.
Okay, cool.
Another thing about that, it sounds like a couple of supporting MCU characters that we have not seen in a long time are going to appear. And it sounded like Katie, Shang-Chi's friend from his movie, as well as Gore the God Butcher's little daughter that was with Thor at the end of that Thor Love and Thunder movie. You know, two, by all means, not crazy important MCU characters, but it sounds like we're going to see those characters in this movie as well.
Okay.
On a different note, Ironheart is almost here. It'll be here next week, about a week and a half from now, on June 24th, with a 3-episode premiere. And they had a latest new trailer that they put out, and it kind of, for the first time, shows a full view of her new suit, which I thought looked pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of haters are hating on this show that's coming, but as with all Marvel, I'm excited to see it. Even if on the other side of it, I don't feel how I feel right now, I'm still excited to see it.
Yeah. I mean, what's the hate?
I don't know. The
Because
typical
it has a
same old
female
stuff.
lead.
Yeah, female lead, not a original character. Most of the haters definitely don't seem to be comic book readers.
Yeah. It's so weird.
Yeah, but that's coming. It looks fun. We know that Daredevil Born Again season 2 is coming, and he's supposedly going to be meeting up with a lot of his past Defenders colleagues. And they just put out some set photos that show Kristen Ritter as Jessica Jones in season 2. So those photos were pretty cool. You know, they didn't show a lot of action or anything, but they show her on the set. So we knew she was coming, but now you can kind of go get a glimpse of it.
Hmm.
We know that the Vision Quest series is coming, and something I recently read says he's going to run into a lot of the AIs he interacted with in the past, including Ultron, but they're all going to be in some sort of humanoid body. So,
Wow.
yeah, I'm interested to see what they're going to do with Ultron, especially.
Yeah.
And how humanoid are they going to go? I wonder if they'll have James Spader play him.
Oh, that would be funny. I mean, I doubt that. I bet it's just like I've said before, it's like Ultron. It's really hard to kill.
Yeah,
I'm wondering if Ultron is in like a lower version of Ultron.
right? He's just been hanging out in a toaster or something.
Yeah.
So the Eyes of Wakanda animated series is coming, and we mentioned in the past that it's going to span a long time. It's going to go way back into the past, all the way to the present. But the latest report says not only that is it's going to span into the future as well, and it's going to show future versions of Black Panther, including this version called The Intruder, and it's going to also introduce us to the villainous group called the Horde. So just a few more facts about that show that's coming up soon.
Cool.
Let's see. We know that we're still waiting patiently for Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse to come out. And Shamik Moore, the actor who plays the voice of Miles Morales, was recently doing something. And someone asked him a question. And long story short, it sounds like we know at the end of that second one, we got that variant Miles who's his universe's Prowler. But Shamik Moore made it sound like we're going to see not only those guys, but possibly a third or even more Miles variants in this final movie. So that's kind of
Okay.
cool. I just need it to happen. I want that movie so bad.
Yeah,
The last thing I have with Marvel this week is that it sounds like there's a solo Hercules project in development right now, and it's going to be in the MCU.
that's awesome.
Yeah, the same guy from Ted Lasso that played him in the last Thor movie.
Good,
Yeah, the same actor is going to be playing him and everything.
good.
Let's see, over with DC, this week James Gunn has revealed that the new DCU is a world where superheroes have existed for over 300 years. And where we enter it with Superman, it's a time period where Superman has been Superman for 3 years, again, in a world where heroes have already existed for over 300 years. So he just wanted to put a little perspective of where we're jumping in. And I thought that was kind of cool to know.
300 years.
Yeah, I'm picturing at some point are we going to see a lot of back in time Amazonian type stuff and
Yeah, it's like Vandal Savage.
yeah, and maybe some glimpses of some New Gods stuff, and who knows what he's gonna do. But
Yeah,
I feel like it's in good hands, and I'm so excited about it.
that seems so specific. 300.
Yeah, I've
Okay,
always said that Marvel has just knocked movies out of the park, but DC have always been my more favorite comics. That doesn't mean like I love Marvel comics, don't get me wrong, but I've always loved the DC comics more and the Marvel movies more. And I'm so excited that these DC movies feel like they're shifting to be more like the comics, and I'm just, man, I'm so pumped about it.
yeah.
James Gunn also revealed that a Superman sequel is already in development, and it's not going to be necessarily a Superman 2. It's going to be more of a Brave and a Bold thing where we see him team up with Batman. And we've known these things are coming, but it was just cool that he officially said it.
Yeah, it is awesome.
Yeah, I mentioned last week that I ordered that Superman prequel novel called Welcome to Metropolis, and it arrived a couple days ago. I haven't read it yet because I haven't had time, but I think it was about 150 pages, so it's not a big book, but I'm gonna probably try to read it before next week.
Nice.
Over in the real world side of things, we know last week that the ticket sales for this movie began, including the pre-screening ticket sales with Amazon Prime and all that stuff. But the pre-sales for Superman have been the highest pre-sales of the whole year for any movie. So that
Wow.
seems kind of like a good sign.
Yeah, it's a good indicator. I think people are excited that the Guardians guy is doing more superhero stuff.
Yep. James Gunn also announced that a Wonder Woman movie is officially in development. Now, we don't, know anything about it whatsoever, but it's already being worked on. So that's kind of cool.
Okay, yeah.
And oh, they also announced that an adult animated Mr. Miracle series has been announced.
Oh, that'll be awesome.
Yeah, I like that they're leaning it towards grown-ups. So yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah, I love Mr. Miracle.
Oh yeah, Big Barda and all the new gods and all that stuff has
Hmm.
always been such a good story.
Yeah, he's like fun though.
Right.
Some of those New Gods kind of stories kind of suck.
Kind of dry. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's always been fun, and I've always liked all of his short. He had like little short runs. I always like those.
Yep. The final thing with DC, we know that a live action Teen Titans movie is something in the works in this new DC universe. And someone announced that when it finally happens, the Robin in this version is going to be Tim Drake. So that makes me wonder, are we going to see like an older Nightwing finally in the movies with Dick Grayson if they're going to be showing us Tim Drake in the Teen Titans?
Does that mean Batman's going to be a lot older than Superman?
Could be. And I saw something crazy, and we've heard this rumor before, and I think we've even talked about this rumor before, but there's rumors, and these rumors are recirculating again, that at some point when we finally see Batman in this new universe, it's going to pan over and Henry Cavill playing Bruce Wayne. Wouldn't that be nuts and blow your mind?
It would be nuts. It would blow my mind, and it would make sense. Like I'd be
Right?
like, okay, that works for me.
I think I would like that too. And I hope that they keep it under wraps and we just see him pop up. That would really blow so many people's minds.
You think some people would be like, what? That's Superman, though.
I'm sure there's a lot of, the diehard Snyder guys are gonna find something to hate about it.
They're starting to become awful.
Right. Worse than the Star Wars people.
Nah,
No, yeah.
nothing's that bad.
Maybe not that bad. Speaking of Star Wars, over with Star Wars, there's not a whole lot of news this week, but in the comic books, they've been every month releasing the next issue of this Star Wars Rise of Skywalker comic adaptation, which I've actually been reading and it's really cool. And the latest issue If you remember from the movie, you know how when Rey is about to die and she kind of starts hearing all those voices, and it's the voices of all these Jedi from the past. They even had like Liam
Yeah,
Neeson's voice and
yeah.
Ahsoka Tano's voice and like all these voices. Well, they didn't show anything. Well, that scene in the comics shows all of them as Force ghosts behind her, and it looks super awesome.
Oh, that's awesome. That is cool. I'm
Yeah.
glad when comics can do stuff like that.
Oh, me too. Yeah, it would have been so cool to see it in the movies, and I wonder why they didn't do that, but it looks
It's too
awesome on
much
that
money.
page. Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
It's either too much money or too many time conflicts.
Yeah, it could be all that.
Because they're all those people who play those people are pretty prominent actors or people who don't act anymore. All
Right.
kinds of crazy stuff.
Well, elsewhere in the pop culture universe, we've got a lot going on. Last week we talked about the kid from How to Train Your Dragon might be playing Link in the live action Zelda movie, but they just announced that that movie has been delayed from 2026 to May 2027. So I guess that's a sign that they want to do things right, hopefully, and add some more time to it.
Interesting. Okay.
For all the little ones, or just some kids of the 80s, it sounds like Warner Brothers is making a live action Care Bears movie.
Oh wow.
It's probably going to be, the way Sonic the Hedgehog and all those movies are live action, but with
Yeah.
animated characters. But that'll be
That
kind of
might be
interesting.
funny.
Yeah.
Depending on, I hope they give it a comedic edge and it's not just
Right.
like the show was.
In the comics, I know last month I got real excited when they brought Captain Planet to the comics with more of an adult edge to it. The Toxic Crusaders, that animated series, not the very adult Toxic Avenger movie that we're getting, it's very R-rated, but do you remember that animated series from the 80s and 90s?
Yeah.
Well, they're making a 5-issue miniseries comic of that, more mellow version of the Toxic Crusaders. That's going to
Oh,
be kind
so
of
it'd
cool
be
too, yeah.
is Marvel putting it out and will it be volume two?
I don't remember what company that's coming from. I just kind of saw the article and
Okay, because if it is, it would be volume two.
okay,
If it's coming from Marvel, because Marvel did like a short, I don't know, like 5 issues maybe.
gotcha. And this one's going to be a short 5-issue miniseries as well. So yeah, maybe they're connected.
Oh, maybe it's been a long, long time, but yeah.
Yeah. Star Trek Strange New Worlds season 3 is almost here. Comes out on July 17th with 2 episodes. I think we talked about that last week, but the new news is it's going to end with a 5th season. So this is about to be season 3 and they've announced that they're going to wrap it up in season 5 because I guess at that point in the timeline it shifts gears over to Captain Kirk's in charge of the Enterprise and all that. So it makes sense that that's where they're going to end it, but they announced it
Mhm.
officially.
Okay.
And speaking of adventures in space, did you see the announcement a couple days ago from Mel Brooks that Spaceballs 2 is finally happening?
I did, and I saw the poster for it, like a teaser poster.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
And the thing that makes me the most excited is Rick Moranis is coming out of retirement to play Dark Helmet.
it's so funny.
Yeah, I would have been like, do they really need to do this? But he's on board and he hasn't done movies in decades, so I am very pumped that he's coming back for this.
Yeah, it's cool.
I love that guy.
Mm.
Oh, for fans of the Steven Universe franchise, they just announced that a new Steven Universe spin-off animated series is coming. It's going to be called Steven Universe Lars of the Stars. Everyone who watched that show knows who Lars is and knows that he started having his own adventures in space, but we only saw a glimpse of it in a few episodes. Well, I guess we're getting this spin-off series all about his adventures in space, and it's from the same creators, same voice actors, and it's going to be on Amazon Prime Video, and I am so pumped because I love that franchise so much.
That's a show I haven't watched. I need to watch. What's it on? Is it on Paramount?
I think it
Or
was
Peacock?
on Max, but I think now it's on Disney Plus for some reason, and it is not a Disney show, but I think it's on there.
Oh, okay, I'll have to look.
Same with Clone Wars. Clone Wars is a little different because even the kind of goofy episodes still have a bit maturity to them. Well, season 1 is very immature, very for kids, silly humor, but then it gets real deep when you start learning the lore of his people and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
It turns into one of my all-time favorite animated series. And then you get a movie, and then you get a sequel series, and then now we're getting a new spin-off series. So I'm just glad they're keeping it alive because I love this universe so much.
No pun intended.
Exactly. So it's been getting a lot of hate, but the new live action Snow White is now available on Disney Plus. My family and I actually watched it last night, actually. And, I'm not sitting here thinking, oh man, what a blockbuster. My life has changed forever. But none of us hated the movie. Like it was, it didn't deserve the hate that I see it getting out there. And again, I'll probably never watch it again. It didn't change my life or anything, but it was a good family movie that was for kids. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it.
And I think you won't like it from the get-go because it is a musical. I didn't even know it was a musical, but it is definitely a musical.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen enough of the stuff of her singing. Kind of figured.
Yeah, but it was fun. I saw a meme recently that shows the past 4 or 5 iterations of Snow White and the past 4 or 5 iterations of the Evil Queen, and they always pick this extremely beautiful woman to be the Evil Queen, and it just makes no sense that Snow White is, who the mirror picks as the most beautiful, most fair in the land. They're like, really? Why are you picking these babes to be the queen then?
Yeah,
It
that's
was just a
funny.
funny meme, but yeah. If you're on the fence of watching the movie, don't go into it expecting your life to be changed or rocked, but it wasn't hot garbage, I'll say that.
Right on.
Disney also announced that we have an Incredibles 3 in the works. We knew it was coming at some point, but it's announced that it's in active development, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, always down for another Incredibles.
The new Masters of the Universe live action reboot movie is coming soon, but it sounds like they've officially wrapped. They're just now in the editing and processing phase of everything. But because they're all done, the actor playing He-Man dropped some first look photos of himself, and I mean, the dude looks like He-Man.
It's awesome.
The costume is very accurate to the old show, and
But did he look like Prince Adam?
you can Google the actor and see what he looks like, but we've only seen his He-Man form at this point.
Does he have the awesome hair?
Oh yeah, totally does.
That rules.
They've also shown a glimpse of what Trapjaw looks like. The guy playing Trapjaw posts some photos, and you can only kind of see him in a reflection. So that's why I say we kind of got a glimpse of it. And then Moss Man, they haven't showed a glimpse of the finished character, but they did show the practical effects costume that he'll be wearing.
Oh, that's cool. I hope they go all out and have like a bunch of different men.
Right?
Kind of, you know what I mean? Like, I hope it's a bunch of them. I hope it's not just like, I mean, I'm gonna be happy with what I get, but still.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. It'll be cool to see a bunch of those guys, and I think it's cool that a lot of it they're going with some practical effects. I think that's going to be cool too.
Yeah, can you imagine like the bee guy or any of like the more robotic ones in like practical effects would be so cool.
Yeah, made out of gold erector head parts or something. The final thing I got on the list here. So, you know how for kids we have that Spidey and his Amazing Friends, and we have that, Young Jedi Adventures. They've taken some stories we love and made it for the little guys. Well, Doctor Who and BBC is doing the same thing. A new Doctor Who animated series is coming. Now, BBC, they have a kid portion of their network called CBBS. I didn't know that. But the CBBS portion of BBC is making this, very similar to Spidey and Young Jedi, making this Doctor Who animated series. And I think that's going to be cool. And it's going to make young people kind of dive into this world a little bit. And maybe it'll bring some new fans to the whole continuity. And it just sounds like it's going to be kind of fun.
Yeah, that's cool.
But hey, that's all the news for this week. Again, it's summer. We're getting so close to July, which means the new Jurassic World movie, the new Superman movie, the new Fantastic Four movie. We're getting so close. They keep dropping a little bit more and more on TV for the trailers and everything, and I'm just so pumped.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great summer.
But hey, as for us here at the Taylorverse, I've been Billy Taylor.
To the Rockstar.
And come back next week, guys. Same Taylor time, same Taylor channel.
See you, brothers.
Bye.